Anyway, so yeah, let's try and reverse engineer my journey of the last, I would say, 10 odd years. And hopefully you'll be able to pick out, some of these learning points for yourself. Okay, so we'll fast forward, well, not fast forward, rewind many, many years ago. So, okay, I'm a self-proclaimed Singaporean. Yeah, okay, I'm a Singaporean, not self-proclaimed, but and as a Singaporean, we go through secondary school, primary school. There's this thing called CCA, right? I'm sure how many millennials are here? And millennials and below, Gen Z as well. Oh no. Oh shit, okay. Okay, anyway, there was this thing called CCA, co-curricular activities. Essentially what it means is that you go to school, they mandate you to do this like outside activity besides studying in school. Maybe because we study too much at school, I don't know. But yeah, I had two CCAs when I was in secondary school. This was one of my CCAs. Before I go into the story, right, I just want you all to make a guess. Where do you think I am in this picture? Anyone wants to make a guess? Someone say middle. Maybe you can say the color of my shirt if you notice me. Gray shirt, yeah. Okay, yes. Yeah. So I'm this guy over there. Okay, I'm not sure why I'm not wearing a uniform, but please take me at my word that I was a scout before. But yeah, so as you can see, also life has treated me very well because I think last time I was a lot more skinny. I think now I like to say I'm more fit. Okay, but that point aside, the thing is that why I wanted to share about my time in Scouts was because it was a pivotal part of my growth as a person. It helped to shape my worldview. Okay, and okay, I don't know how many of you over here are Scouts before. I know there's that like Scout values and all that, right? But for me, I think it went even more like fundamental to the level of how it shaped me as someone and like the personality traits of how I treat other people. Okay, so three main points. One point is that through Scouts, right, it taught me about the idea of not being wasteful. The story behind this is actually quite boring. I recall I was in Sec 1 and this adult Scout leader just came up to me and was talking about like, not wasting food. But he was not like being like nagging at me or anything. And somehow it just stick to me, as a value that I learned across my life to not be wasteful as a whole. Okay. Another point that I learned, as part of my time in Scouts is mostly being nice to other people. Okay, I use the word kind, but maybe nice is a better way of putting it. Because the general stance here is, I know there are times where we get angry angry towards our teammates, we get frustrated, sometimes we might even scream at them, shout at them. But the general theme that I want to put across here is, you can be an a-hole to other people, but there's almost no upside to be an a-hole. You scream at them, you'll probably get this guy or person will remember it for next time, and they might treat you badly next time. So in general, it's always good to be nice and kind to other people. Okay, and the most important part, putting in your best effort in whatever that you do. I think this is something that I felt was really important to me as a person. Like there's no point half-assing, your work, be it even if it's the smallest task in the workplace. It always serves you well to do, to the best of your abilities. And this one actually, I have a bit of a story behind it. So for those who are in Scouts before, or maybe you have seen Scouts, I think during the March holiday period, right? Any of you know like what's job week? Then this story is not very, very nice really. We have one person that knows job week. Okay, so job week is essentially, I think in my mind I wanted to joke that it's child labor, but maybe it's not really right to say that. But essentially, during the March holidays, for folks who have went through like local schooling system, right? There's the March holidays, there's like this 1 week break. And what happens is that you have students in that 1 week, as I remember, in that 1 week, right? Usually you have this camp, and we call it the job week camp. And then what happens is that you have all these Scouts, right, going to the different housing units, right, across Singapore, and they will knock on your door. And then they will ask you, hey, can I do like some household chores for you? Okay, and as if I did it well, right, can you give us a donation? So one fun thing is, throughout when I was doing this job week thing, right, at I think a tender age of 12 years old, I remember someone asked me to clean that toilet bowl. But it was good because this person gave me like $50 for cleaning the toilet bowl so long, at a young age, earning money, I guess. But I think the story behind it was more so because, some of my friends inside that Scout unit, you can see as kids, we can just spend our time, we don't really need to go through, take this very seriously, we can just earn a few dollars and then just end of day, go back to the camp itself and then just report that number and then, just go on our merry way. But during that job week itself, I decided to put in my best effort. And I'm not sure why I did that, but maybe because I was just inspired by other people, who put in their best as well, who earned as much money in the year before. So when I was in Sec 2, right, I actually pushed myself to, as a goal, right, to be the top place, and I managed to do that. And the end result, of course, from that is now years after that, people entrusted me in more positions, in this CCA as well, because they saw that I take my role or my job over there very seriously. Okay, but that's like, many years ago when I was a youth. Okay, and fast forward many years later, if you're convinced by the worldview that I mentioned over here, these are my rules or things that I observed in my life. Okay, and many years later, I started working, of course, as a software engineer. That's why we're all here today. I was in this company called Rakuten Vicky, which I can see actually one of my previous interns over here today. I will not expose her, but yeah, she's somewhere here. So she will judge whether I'm saying truthfully here or not. Okay, but the thing is, translating my worldview, right, from when I was a youth to an adult, of course, I can't just practice these values as is. There would be some level of output of what I will be showing in the workplace. So in the case of not being wasteful, right, as an engineer, what does that mean? Okay, that would mean something along the lines of you want to create reusable quality code, right? In general, as an engineer, that's what we do as well, right? You don't want to write code that people will remove away maybe like a few months from now because no one understands the code, or maybe it's just too buggy in general. Okay, being kind to other people had a different meaning to me in the workplace. Okay, so the second part, being kind to other people, which is being really good at communication and helping other people often. And how this came out to me, came out as a value in the workplace was that in the first few months of me joining Rakuten Vicky, I actually helped out our CS team by a lot. Like in our team itself, right, generally for engineers in the different teams, they actually don't really respond to the CS team because usually they report bugs in, it's very annoying, it doesn't really help with maybe your own KPI in completing our tasks. But I decided to take the extra effort to help them out because we can see like quite a lot of complaints coming in from our users as well. And as a result of that, right, it's a bit of the you scratch my back, I scratch your back situation. So the more I help them, right, I actually see that in the later months, right, when I need to call in a favor, people also come in and help you as well. Okay, and putting in the best effort to me is not just doing really well at work, but also looking at doing well outside of work. For example, me being here speaking today, of course, this is more of a career topic, but I do speak on other tech topics as well, and sort of try to help to raise the tech profile of my company, doing things like tech evangelism. Okay, so trying to do my best as an engineer in all that I do. Okay, so these were the inputs that came out from my worldview. Okay, and the outputs, I would say that I felt that as an engineer, right, I gained a lot, from doing this. Okay, by doing good quality code, I was respected for quality. And in terms of opportunities or projects in Vicky, right, I was selected to do, certain big projects. Like, for example, we had this project called Sumpi, which is like a Korean news publication platform. I'm not sure how many of you heard of Sumpi. But we had this rewrite effort sometime in 2018, and I was chosen to participate in that project, even though I was one of the more junior engineers. And by the end of that 1 year journey, right, I was actually the go-to SME for two domains, the front end and back end. DevOps is taken care by another team. Okay, and yeah, communicating and helping other people often made me the go-to person, for certain teams who need to interact with my team. And that's a really great thing because it shows that when individuals trust you, right, all this adds up. You get more and more people in the organization trusting you, right? It translates into overall organizational trust towards you. And this is what could build your career towards, let's say going towards a promotion, because you have more and more people who vouch for you. Okay. And lastly, in terms of active participation, doing tech evangelism and things like this, right? So I'm also part of this program called Google Developer Expert, which essentially is this, how should I call it? It's kind of like a campaign by Google in recognizing experts in their technology or in their platform. So for me, right, I'm a GDE in Google Cloud. And the opportunities that came along with that is that, sometimes when they need to find speakers to go to overseas conferences, they'll sponsor my trip, my flights, hotels, all of that. So for example, like, in the last few months of last year, they actually sponsored quite a bit of my trips across Asia, to speak at different conferences in the CE region. So all this helped me to accelerate my growth as an engineer as well, being able to network with more folks, get to know more people, grow as a person overall. Okay, but here's the kicker. Doing this in Rakuten Wiki, right? I thought that this is going to be successful. I created this worldview since I was young. I thought, it helped me out a lot when I was a lot younger. But the thing is, real life isn't that kind. Okay, this is where I'm actually going to get a little bit nervous because, like I said, my ex-intern is here. I don't think she knows about this before. So this is I'm actually quite nervous to say this. Okay, but here's the thing. Okay, I put one big word, denied, over here. So the thing is that the story over here is that I thought this worldview would help me out in terms of getting promoted beyond a senior engineer. The story here is that in the year of 2019, we had the tech lead in our team who was looking at leaving our company. She was going to a different company for better job opportunity elsewhere. But she essentially gave a recommendation to my engineering manager that, Weiyuan has been doing really well. He's been with this team for around 2-3 years now. He's the most senior in the team. So you should look at pushing him upwards to take over my position to help lead the team to the next level. Okay, but the thing is, for some unknown reason, okay, I say unknown reason because I don't really want to accuse that engineering manager. I mean, maybe I would say there's some bitter feelings here and there, but I can't really guess on his intentions. He didn't go ahead with that, and I recall him even flat out telling me that he didn't want to put me up for promotion. And when I asked him then, what's the plan? Are we going to backfill this position, blah, blah, blah. Basically, he had no plans, and he decided he just wanted to take that responsibility himself. Okay, but bitterness aside, okay, the point over here is not to be a negative Nancy today, but the point over here is, okay, beyond what opportunities couldn't be given to me, right? That actually started to get me thinking about, okay, as a person, I thought that doing all these things would be able to help me to grow. I tried to be a good communicator. I tried to do my best in work. But even that is not enough. And I was thinking, what does this exactly mean as an engineer? And the more I think about it, right, I actually came to the realization that this worldview that I practice over here, right, are essentially what I consider as intuition. And here's the thing, intuition over here is good. As senior engineers, as engineers in general, we all practice intuition, right? When you're writing code, you think about whether the code you're writing is good enough or not. Or, when you're reviewing someone else, there's kind of like some system that you have in your mind in being able to decide whether other people are doing good or bad work, okay? But here's the thing. I want to propose this to you, which is that intuition is not enough. As an engineer, right, I recognize my worldview as something that I kind of guess whether it will work or not. But because these are not principles, it's not sufficient to help you grow beyond the level of a senior engineer. Okay, I'd like to give you an example of why intuition is not enough. So, in local vernacular, there's this term called aga-aga. Anyone knows what's aga-aga? Hey, don't lie to me, raise your hand. Surely got a lot of people know what's aga-aga, right? Estimation, right? Yeah. Which is a bit like intuition. Like you're kind of guessing whether it's correct or not. Okay, here's why intuition is not good enough. So let's say you have an outage in your workplace and you need to look at scaling up your production instances. Imagine your head of engineering saying this one sentence. Hey, can you aga-aga scale up our production instance? I mean, it sounds really weird, right? And probably you'll be like, hey, this head of engineering doesn't know what he or she is saying, okay? But the thing is, change that into something maybe more like this. Maybe like let's use a run book to do some capacity planning to ensure that we can do this upscaling really well. There's some foundational principles over there, not just guessing whether something works or not. So this essentially is what I want to represent today as principles. What principles you should have as an engineer that help to define your growth, that help to define your impact as a person, not just looking at it as intuition, guessing whether doing something would give you that growth or benefit that you want at the workplace or not. Okay, so hopefully with this, I've somewhat convinced you that principles are sufficient for your growth. So the next chapter over here would be me defining to you, or rather like sharing with you some examples of how you can plot your own principles via your own manifesto. Okay. So first things first. Okay. So yeah, first things first. A few examples for you in terms of engineering leaders in our ecosystem, engineering ecosystem today, right, you can actually visit some of their own descriptions on what their principles are, or what they believe, as senior engineers or as leaders in this ecosystem. For example, we have Bruce Wang, who is a engineering director at Netflix, who actually has this GitHub article indicating, the values that he believes in as a leader and how he leads his teams. So you can use that, of course, as a reference for building your own engineering manifesto. For myself as well, I also wrote a blog on this. If you want, you can also take a read into this to see how you can define your own principles. Okay, so when reading these different examples, right, one of the things that I think likely you will fall into is this trap of that, wow, do I need to write like this 10-page article on defining my personality on what I believe in as an engineer? So I want to immediately convince you by saying that you should start small first. You don't have to worry about writing this huge GitHub article that, same thing as what Bruce write or what I've written. You can start small first by building a short, maybe list, maybe even just listing one single principle that you're going to follow as an engineer, okay, and build up that list of principles over time. Okay, and I mean, just to show an example, this is my own one. It's just 6 different points over here that I keep in my phone every day. And, sometimes I read it if I need to remind myself of, the same principles. But I also practice this daily as well, okay? But to blow it up, but essentially these are the 6 principles. We're not going to run through all 6 of this. I know this is also very small. Later, I'll share the slides as well if you want to look into each of this. But I want to introduce to you 2 principles that I follow that I believe will help you out as all of you as an engineer. So the first principle that I'm going to share with you is in terms of earning trust with other people. Okay, and a question I'd like to ask all of you to think about is, how do you define trust? As a person, how do you earn trust from your other teammates? Okay, give you all some time to think. 5, 4, 3, 2, okay. Okay, so this is the principle I'm trying to share over here, which is essentially the principle of allowing you to define or how to earn trust from your fellow teammates, okay, which is essentially trust as a function of integrity and competency. Okay, to convince you why this works, right, I'm going to run an example over here, or maybe sort of an experiment. So let's say that, you're married, you have a significant other, and you have a kid, okay, and maybe let's say you're planning for a holiday, okay, and in this holiday, right, so you can't bring a kid along, maybe, okay, this kid is also, let's say, like 1 or 2 years old, okay, and you need to entrust your kid to one of your friends to help babysit for you, okay. So I'm going to give you a few choices for friends, right, people that you can choose to help babysit, and you tell me which person you choose. So let's say person A or friend A. Friend A is someone that you have known for a while. This person, is a very honest person, will keep to their word, has very high integrity. But this person has also outright come out and tell you that he or she hates kids, don't want to take care of kids. Okay, so this is person A. Person B, also your friend as well, is someone who has taken care of a lot of kids, have babysitted for many times before, okay? Has also even have kids of his or her own, okay? But the thing is that this person, while has high competency, right, is someone that, doesn't keep to his or her word, usually late for meetings, or, when you have to ask this person for something, someone that you kind of, cannot really believe their words at times. Okay, so now this is 2 of your friends over here. I want to ask, which friend would you choose to help babysit your kid during this holiday? Okay, how many of you would choose friend A? Wow, but your friend A say they don't like kids, hate kids. Okay, how about friend B? Okay, some people choose as well. So maybe around, I think I roughly calculated maybe around 6 versus, I guess like 2 or 3 people who choose friend B. Not a lot. Okay, what about if I add in a friend C? Right, who has some competency in taking care of kids, have some experience, and also someone who has also a basic level of integrity, at least will be on time for, when you're meeting up with this person, will pay you back your money as well, if he or she borrow money from you. Okay, so if you have this friend C over here, right, how many of you will actually change your choice to friend C? Okay, so yeah, you can see much more people will choose friend C. So essentially that's the formula over here for building trust. When you are in any of your workplaces, right, I mean, intuitively, we know we should do our best at work, and we should, when someone asks us to help with something, we try and help as much as possible. But the idea over here is to truly build trust, right? It's not just being capable at your job. You can be capable at your job, right? But you can also be an a-hole over there, and people will not like you because of it. They won't trust you because of it. So you also need to make sure the integrity level perceived by them is high as well, so that you'll be able to build that wholesome level of trust that other people have in you. Okay, so this is something that I follow as one of my principles in order to earn trust with other people. Okay, the second principle that I want to share with you today is in terms of as a senior engineer or in terms of as a leader at work, right? How do you prioritize work that you should highlight in the workplace? Okay, so the thing is, when you are faced with, let's say, one big project, right? Sometimes it's a little bit hard to define different qualities of this project that you should work on. Now, of course, you can build timelines and roadmaps and all that, but what are the different software qualities that you should be focusing on? Okay, so I'd like to introduce this term called FURPS. FURPS. So essentially, is a short form created by a few guys in IBM, and I'll talk more about it later on. And this term is actually this principle is actually taught to me by this director of engineering, Weiyuan in Rakuten Viki. Okay, and essentially this five letters over here, right, refer to these 5 terms of functionality, usability, reliability, performance, and sustainability. And there's usually 2 ways I'll use this 5 letters. Essentially, one way of using it is to highlight the priority of work that you need to do in a project. So let's say if you're in a startup, you want to build a product that you need to sell to people, right? Would you worry about something like performance first, or would you worry about building your USP, your functionality first? You want to build the USP first, right? Because if there's no functionality, no one will buy it. Who cares if your product is fast? And you still need to get that initial interest in your product or system. So firstly, you'll take care of things like functionality. Okay, then you'll go to the next thing, usability. If let's say you have a basic functionality that users need from your system, then next you want to improve the usability so that you can lock your users within your system. Okay, then after usability, you care about things like reliability, performance, and sustainability, so on and so forth. So usually I look at this as a way of sort of a prioritized list of what you should take care of first, then going to the next thing and next thing and next thing. Okay. Another way of using it, of course, is just looking at this as just describing the overall software qualities of your product. When you are looking at a product that you need to build, right? Let's say your manager comes up to you and asks you, what do you need to improve in this product? It's very easy to say, I think I need this, I think I need that. But it's not very structured usually. Usually it's a bit more intuitive into what you think you need based on what someone said recently about what this product cannot do. Okay, but this is something I also use sort of as a system as well. When I need to examine my software product and see, let's say, is there something wrong, missing in functionality? Is my UX sufficient? Is performance of my application good enough or not? And performance here, not just referring to latency. I'm also talking about things like cost performance. So there are different aspects to this as well. Okay, so this is again another useful system that I like to use firstly as an engineer, then as a lead to define how I should guide my team members as well as how I should build my products. Okay, yeah, so that's 2 of the 6 principles over here. The rest, there's a lot. I think there's not enough time to go through all of this today. But yeah, hopefully these first 2 principles will be good enough principles for you to use to kickstart your own engineering principles and manifesto. Okay, so just to summarize, first things first, as engineers, we all start with intuition first. Intuition is great. Okay, I'm not saying intuition is wrong. We all start with intuition to roughly understand what we should do at work. Okay, but intuition is not always right. So you want to start hardening your intuition into principles to allow you to make right decisions at work. Okay, and as mentioned, right, of course, intuition, a bit like aga-aga, right? But allowing you to, when you start defining your own principles, you'll be able to use those principles to guide your everyday work, allowing you to make that consistent impact along the way. Because the idea is that if your principles are well grounded, right, it should always allow you to achieve success most of the time, allowing you to always achieve consistency in your impact and work. Okay, and as mentioned, when you start reading, some of these other principles or other people's own manifesto, right, you might get a bit daunted because, all these look very long. When you're first starting out, right, you may not have all these details. So always start small first. You can just write a few point form. That's what I did at the start as well. Okay, And do read examples by other engineering leaders in this ecosystem, to find out what you can follow, because it's not just you defining your own principles. Usually these principles can be gained from your fellow colleagues, let's say your mentor in the workplace, be it your engineering manager or some tech lead over there. And essentially you should be able to build a consistent and concise list of your principle over time. Okay, and with this, yeah, we have reached the end of my sharing over here. I hope you have enjoyed this. Last but not least, as mentioned, yes, we are always hiring for people. Ascenda is a very great place. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, if you're looking for job openings, so we do have some listed in our site over here. Of course, there's also this very nice QR code that you can scan over here, which I'll let you all scan before I change the slide. Come on, take photo. Yeah, just joking lah. Okay, I see some people still taking. I'll wait for them for a little bit. Just to mention, while folks are taking the photo of this, in Ascenda, we build loyalty systems. So loyalty systems essentially means loyalty over here refers to points. So for example, if you have a credit card with a bank, you use that credit card, you earn some points, you can use that points to go redeem for stuff. But then redeeming stuff, right? If you want to build, let's say, a platform for redeeming stuff, can be quite hard. But our company deals with building a system to allow you to use points to exchange for rewards. And then we scale up by integrating this platform across, multiple different companies in this industry. So it allows us to be able to take advantage of the economies of scale. And then as a company, right, you can just make use of our system directly from there without having to integrate it yourself. Okay, if that interests you, do go apply if you see there are job openings. And yeah, that's all for my sharing today. Thanks for listening.